Alright, so welcome back to the studio. This is Lagos Talks 91.3 FM. My name is Oluwakyode and this is The Conversation. You know The Conversation, which is a segment in the Saturday breakfast show. We started from 6 a.m. all the way to midday. What we do is to, have a discussion on things that are happening around us, things that are, noteworthy. And this time around, we are going to Eti Osa, where we have a politician who has faced the baptism of fire. Somebody who insists that yes, he must go there and represent Nigerians, that the voice of the youth must be heard, not just in ideas or desires, but in making actual impact. His name is Olubankole Wellington. I'm going to ask him for a middle name because almost every Nigerian, especially Yoruba man, has a middle name. You'll be shocked at the number of Yoruba Christians that have Muslim middle names. And that's why I say what we're doing about our country right now in terms of Christian-Muslim fight is very unnecessary. But before I ask him that, in case you're still wondering who is Olubankole Wellington, you all know him as Banky W. He's here with me in the studio, and let's get the conversation started.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
You are actually right. I have a lot of middle names.
So
my name is Olubankole, Olusegun, Omojola, Ayodeji, Paul, Umo, Wellington.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I thought my names
were very correct. It's a whole book.
I tell you, it needs to be studied.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes,
so welcome to the studio. And,
thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Okay, but let's start this way. Now, this year's election seems to be a bit unique.
Okay.
This is not the first time we're having celebrities, or for lack of a better word, entertainers, go into politics or attempt to go into politics. But previously, there have been so many attempts, but some of it have failed. But this time around, it seems a lot of them are getting a headway. We've had Ziton Todike, running mate. We have Funke Akindele, running mate, and we have you, who have thrown their legs in the water, put their legs in the deep to see how far it goes.
Right.
Now, why do we see a lot of, should I say, entertainers go into politics? What is there? Is politics, has it become a retirement package for entertainers?
Wow. Just pull the knives out immediately. Okay, so I like to be very careful when I speak because I don't like to generalize. I think you make a mistake when you cast a blanket assumption on an entire group of people because people are individuals and people have different motivations for doing things. So with that being said, first of all, I would like to speak for myself. For people who have followed my career, you will know that I've been vocal about young people participating in politics for the better part of 15 years. You know that I've participated in more peaceful protests than just about anybody in my peer group. From Bring Back Our Girls to Occupy Nigeria to Light Up Nigeria to Enough is Enough. And this is going back 12, 15 years. So for me, it's not a recent love affair with trying to say, how can we influence the system? And then I contested for office back in 2019. So for me, it's not a new thing. I think, originally I always fancied myself more of like a Martin Luther King who speaks truth to power and tries to influence from the outside. But then, the more that I looked at it, the more the fire in me was burning to say, some of us have to be willing to stick our necks out and actually try and get into the system to fix it. And that's what led to me running for office in 2019. It was motivated by a desire to serve. It was motivated by a desire to impact, to change things, to just redirect the course of our nation in whatever way that I could.
All right.
Now, with that being said, sorry, I just want to touch on the entertainer thing. I think it's also important for us to not look down on people who do feel like they have a bigger role to play in our nation's interests. I think part of our problem is that we've left politics to politicians. We've left politics to people who have never had to start a business. To people who are who feel entitled to governance. They feel like governance is their birthright. They feel in some way, shape or form, they feel like, like the Queen of England, it's just the family that you're in means that you get to do this and nobody else does. And I think that's wrong. And I think it's also wrong for us to look down on people who, entertainment is interesting, right? Because it's very much a viable business. It raises more
Sure
more revenue than many other sectors of our economy. So why do we then look at people who do entertainment like it's some sort of a joke? No, it's not. It's called show business for a reason. You have to understand the business to be successful in entertainment. And I think we need people who understand business. We need people who understand how to create opportunities, how to create jobs, how to create success, how to generate revenue, how to keep a system going that produces desired results. And that's what you have in entertainment entrepreneurs. So if somebody has been relevant in the movie making scene, or or the music business, or fashion, or food, they are just as worthy to be looked at as a businessman or businesswoman of respect as any other sector of the economy. And I think it's very important that we start to give those, because you wouldn't, nobody would sit and say, oh, why are there bankers or lawyers or doctors running for office? So why do we look at entertainment like it's anything less? Do you know what it takes to convince millions of people to consume something? The principle of it is the same, whether you're selling music or movies or people or not even votes. I'm just talking business now, right? The principle of convincing millions of people to take a product or a service, that principle is the same. And I think that if you would accord that respect to people in other sectors of the economy, then you should accord them in
all right, great. And
well.
fairly so. I agree with you completely, because we seem to just brush that aside. Okay, entertainers are going in there, like you said. In the Lagos Assembly, for example, there are so many bankers that are there, and nobody is saying, "Wow, bankers."
Nobody says, "Is this a retirement home for bankers?" It's
exactly.
So I think let's
of
be
course,
fair.
and I agree with you on that one.
It's just a matter of.
But since we
fair.
spoke at entertainment, I wanted us to go straight into politics. But looking at
anyhow you want to go, Baba, I'm here for you.
All right, great.
Yeah.
When it comes to entertainment, do you think in other parts of the world, I mean, we know the US, for example, they've used entertainment a lot to push an agenda.
Absolutely.
Do you think we're doing enough in our entertainment space, from music to any other thing? Because, for example, in the States, for example, let's talk about music.
Okay.
You have music that are street music, where and guys are going crazy about it. They're taking all the the Tupac and the Biggie back from the day, the East and West Coast thing, and getting guys on the street, getting them to be a bit less moral or doing illegal things.
Okay.
And we have all the music that just speaks to your conscience and the likes.
Right.
Do you think we have that balance? Because I don't like to call out any program. There's all these reality shows that go there that push people off the edge.
Right.
How come we don't have a thing like The Apprentice that selects the right people to govern? Do you think we have that balance in the entertainment industry?
So that's a very interesting question. I think that there will always, if you look at any entertainment industry anywhere in the world throughout history, there will always be a mix, right? And it's reflective of the demands of people. Because the supply wouldn't be there if the demand wasn't there. So there will always be, the reality shows that kind of cater to certain audiences, right? But at the same time, if you're really paying attention, there's also entertainment that caters to people who have maybe a different taste or a different flair. So you want to talk about the music business? Yes, there are people that just kind of make party music, for lack of a better way to describe it, because I think that, let's be real, there's a lot of suffering in the land, and sometimes people just need that temporary escape to just give you the joy that you need to to survive another day, and to feel like, listen, everything is going to be all right. And so I don't think that we should look down on that.
No, not at all.
Let's not get on a soapbox. But now, if you look on the other side, there's Asha, there's MI, there's Timi Dakolo, there's some of the music I've made, there's Tubaba, there are enough, there's YJ, there are enough people that are out there that are not necessarily in this realm that we've described. Now, the idea of balance, I don't think that I'm in the position to say, but I do think that there's a certain responsibility that we have as an audience to demand more. And I think that entertainers will generally fall in line with what they deem to be successful. I mean, look at Big Brother, right? So many people. I'm sorry, I don't know if you wanted me to mention.
No, I mean, go ahead. You already said, but
sorry,
go ahead,
but so many people scramble to get on that show because they've seen what the demand is. On the flip side, there are shows like is it Lion's Den?
Yeah,
Lion's Den.
Lions, yes.
I think that's a brilliant show.
Well, it's not getting enough traction.
Well, because the audience isn't maybe is it not getting enough traction because not enough people are paying attention to it because it's there.
Yeah, it
and
is
they
there.
advertise it and they promote it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's reflective of the audience. We were talking off air before we started, and you said something that every nation has the leadership it deserves, and I agree with that completely. It's a quote that I've known for many years, and I feel like it is what let's learn to look at ourselves as the people. Okay, it's what the people demand and decide that you see. So if somebody is, let's bring it back to politics, if somebody is in office and he's not performing, well, how did he get there? He got there because people supported him, and people voted for him, or people pulled whatever strings they could pull as delegates or voters or whatever the case may be to put that person there. And I think that the day that people decide to want better, the system doesn't have the choice, because the system is just made up of people. Whether you're talking politics or entertainment or anything, any system is just people. So a system will only ever be as good as the people that are involved in it.
Okay, great.
So
and having said that, I remember what and I shout out to the chairman of Igbobo Bayeku LCDA in Ikorodu. He told me something that he's traveling to South Africa or one of these countries with a student, and that there's this competition that happens in his area annually, and the winner gets like 50,000. But he feels that why would we want our kids to focus on education when we're not giving them a reason to focus on education? When if they go for other shows, they get 1 million, they get the the support and everything. So what he decided to do was he first of all increased the amount of money that the person gets. Then he gives an educational tour. So he's taking to get to South Africa to experience, move with his peers, look at what education can do for you and all that stuff. And that is what he's doing. So I'm just saying that,
absolutely
balancing it out and all that.
You are completely correct. And if I can just echo that. So over the years, I've run something on and off called a scholarship fund.
Okay.
And what I did was I actually went back to my secondary school, and I would award the people that the person with the best grades or whatever the case may be, with a partial or full scholarship depending on how expensive it was, to go to a private university. And I've done it in my secondary school, I've done it in a few schools around. And one of the people who I've done it for has gone on to become like an entertainment media personality. She gets booked for all kinds of things in the States now. And I think that's what it is. It's saying, how do we, and for me, I look at myself as an example. I was fortunate enough to have scholarships to attend a university that my parents would never have been able to afford at the time. But now that I'm in this place of success, how do we then look back and inspire other people to say, yes, you can do all of these things, but it's not a bad thing to go to school. And when I'm speaking to people, to young people, I say, listen, if you look at me as any measure of success, then I went to university, and it helps me in my entertainment business. I haven't succeeded in entertainment purely because I had the best voice or I could write the best songs, but also because I was able to add value that I understood because I went to school, because I understood how to solve problems, how to make presentations, how to add value, how to just be creative.
You understand the business.
You understand the business.
And approach,
and I think that for me is, there's a kid who just finished interning at EME over the summer, and he was giving his parents hell because he was like, he wanted to drop out of university. Somehow I caught wind of it. We had some counseling sessions, and by the time I explained to him, the guy went back. He finished his bachelor's degree. Came back, did a 3-month internship with us, and learned about the business. Interned at a radio and TV station, interned with us, learned mixing, mastering, promotions, digital distribution of music, marketing, all of that. Now he's going back to do his masters, and his mind has been opened up
Yeah.
To say
and this brings
there's
me
opportunity when you get an education, it helps.
It helps,
That's
yeah.
not to say for those who are
Who don't
unable
have
to
it.
go to school, you are finished, because it's not true.
But
But I'm just saying, if you do have the opportunity,
take
take
advantage
it.
of
Take
it.
advantage of it.
And that brings me, okay, looking at the time now, I'm not sure 1 hour will be enough, because there's still so much
It's
to
an
talk about.
interesting conversation.
It is,
Yeah.
because when it comes to leadership, and I'm glad you spoke about this, a lot of times in Nigeria, we talk about leadership at the presidency. But I
Yes.
remember that growing up, we had leadership in the community, in society. When it comes to leadership in Nigeria, should the entire blame be on the presidency? And by presidency, for those who are listening, I'm not talking about President Muhammadu Buhari, I'm talking about the seat of power. Yeah, so.
I think you raise an excellent point. There's something that I've said a lot, which I continue to hamper on, that the problem in Nigeria is from the top down, but the solution is from the bottom up. And so we have to expand our thinking to begin to focus on other seats. The Senate, the House of Representatives, the State House of Assembly, the local government chairman. They have as much to do with the quality of life that anybody lives in this nation as the president does. The problem is that we tend to ignore it, and in election season we only focus on who's running for president, maybe who's running for governor, and that's kind of where. And also, what happens in the presidential election, if what they prefer to happen didn't happen, they actually just forget about it, and then
That's
the governorship election comes and the numbers go way down.
That is it.
And so I think for me, that's part of the messaging that we're trying to educate people to say, guys, your lawmaker at the federal level or at the state level has as much to do with creating the environment that your business can thrive in or your family can safely grow up in as the president does. We have to begin to pay attention to the people that we allow into these seats. And here's the thing that people don't understand. It's a game of numbers, and those seats, the numbers are infinitely smaller. So Eti Osa in 2019 had 337,000 registered voters.
Okay.
Out of that, only 50,400 were the valid votes for our election. That is a turnout of 16 point something percent. So only 16% of people participated. The votes that it took to win the House of Rep seat in Eti Osa, which is the seat of business, it's the seat of our economy. Every major company, whether it's in media, whether it's in telecoms, whether it's in banking, whether it's in oil and gas, everybody has a presence here. So in a place that had 337,000 registered voters, we're not even talking population, we're just saying people that are registered to vote. 337,000 registered voters, it took 21,880 votes to win the 21,000. I'll say it again.
Less than 10%.
Less. It took about 7.6% of the votes to win the House of Rep seat, and that is an important message that people need to understand. Because sometimes when you look at the presidency and you say, okay, it takes about 15 million votes to win, so what's my vote going to do? It would do something, but let's break it down. Their rep seats, their Senate seats, their State House of Assembly seats, their local government chairman seats, that it takes 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 people to determine any election. But what happens, especially in a place like Eti Osa, is apathy sets in. I've said this, the greatest opponent to our success in the political sphere is not any one godfather or any one party or any one group of people. It's apathy. And they depend on your apathy to be able to sway things. They convince you that your votes don't count so that you stay home. And then for the people who are willing to come into the process, and that most of the time is the grassroots, they then try and influence them by vote buying, by voter suppression, by using different means to get to sway those numbers in their favor. And so I say, people say, oh, they're going to rig it anyway. They don't understand that it's by staying home that you are guaranteeing that it's going to be rigged, because you've just given them an open opportunity. And what's crucial now, and if I can just throw this in, because I know I speak a lot, so I know you have a lot of questions to get to.
Go ahead.
But people need to understand what this electoral act has done for us. They've gotten rid of collation centers, essentially. What used to happen is people who want to rig elections would watch what is happening in the votes and see where the numbers are coming in. And then they would go into a collation center or into some unit and stamp 100 ballots for their preferred
Additional,
candidate and say, oh, these were the votes from so place. Now, with the Electoral Act, there's this bimodal voter accreditation system. That system has to accredit each voter that shows up at each polling unit to say, you are who you are, you're the owner of this card with your fingerprint and your facial recognition, and you are allowed to vote in this specific polling unit. Now, those, before we used to use a card reader, and they'll say, oh, manual accreditation, the card reader is not working. Now there's no manual accreditation. So the system has to accredit you. When it accredits you, those the results at that polling unit have to tally with the number that was accredited by the system at that polling unit, and those results have to be pasted for everybody that is present to see. So your job as a candidate is, how do you man every polling unit in your constituency? In Eti Osa we have 725. How do we man all 725 polling units with multiple people to be there, to watch, to observe, to record any funny business or suppression or anything that happens, and to track the results? In Osun State, this is the reason why we were able to defeat an incumbent governor. Is because every election now is won and lost at the polling unit.
Yes.
So if you are at the polling unit,
if you don't do your business right before the polling unit, you've lost.
Certain TV stations, I won't call their names, but they're popular TV stations, they declared the results in Osun before INEC.
Definitely.
For the first time in our history. It's like, abroad when you see like the media stations saying projection, Kinicom projects that. Because we can do that now, because once you are tracking the numbers that are happening in the polling units,
see. And can have your heart attack earlier enough.
And you know what is happening by 1 p.m. If voting started in the morning, by 1 p.m.
you don't need 2 or 3 days to do the counting.
No, you don't.
All right. So having said that, now let's delve a bit into thicker, more robust politics.
Okay.
You left the MDP.
Yes.
To the PDP.
Yes.
And why did you choose the PDP? Why not YPP, Labour Party, APC, or any other party?
Right. Okay. So, in 2019, and we talked about this off air. I ran. It was 2 of us. BK, a good friend of mine, was running in Ondo State, and I was running in Lagos, and that's what MDP was. So there was no party, there was no structure. In fact, the people that were the signatories of the party, we didn't even see them, and this is no disrespect to anybody, there was really
the
nothing. The reality
on
on ground was that there was nothing. It was just me running with my volunteers in Lagos and BK running with his in Ondo State. In 2019, there were 96 political parties. It does not make sense. And so when INEC said, hey, we're going to deregister the majority of parties because they didn't win their seats.
Yes.
Some parties were throwing up, kicking up dust and trying to take them to court. I was a big fan of what they were doing because it didn't make sense. Everybody was working in silos, and you have 96 political. It didn't make sense. So they've deregistered MDP along with a host of others, and now I believe they're about 18.
16.
Is it 16?
Okay. I think they're about.
Now, for us, they say politics is local. Okay, and structure wins elections. Those are 2 critical things that I don't think people understand. In the PDP structure, in a mainstream political party structure, each of those wards has a chairman, a vice chairman, a woman leader, a youth leader, a secretary, and an exco. Each of those wards is broken into zones. Each zone has its exco. And it is that structure that you are able to use to reach the community, to speak with people, to engage with people, to canvass, to impact, to understand the pain, to understand the problems, to engage with people at that granular level. Otherwise, you are kind of just casting a wide net through the media or social media and just hoping that people hear you, as opposed to really being able to engage with the people that you are trying to reach and trying to impact and trying to help. Now, they also say politics is local. So it's important for any political candidate to look at the local landscape and say, where do I think that I can stand for what I want to stand for, fight for what I want to fight for, have the impact and the service that I would like. And for us, in the Lagos PDP and the Eti Osa PDP, it presented that opportunity. Listen, I tread carefully when I talk like this, but I didn't want a situation where it's a dictatorship that says it's the choice of one man who gets to run for office, and when you do enter the office, you still have to say what you are told to say, do what you are told to do, keep quiet here, speak here.
So that doesn't happen in the PDP.
Definitely not, and definitely not. So the thing I love about the PDP, and it's an opportunity and it's a challenge, is that it's a truly democratic party. So when we made the decision to come into the PDP, I met with a lot of leaders at the national level, and they were like, "Oh, this is fantastic. We're so great, and we're so happy that you are here. You know, we've been looking for people like you to come in." And then they said, "Go to your wards, because those are the people that will decide whether you get your ticket or not." So there was no leader that was going to impose me on the people. They were like, "You have to earn the right to get the ticket," and that's what I want.
But there were leaders that, of course, drove you, supported you.
No, they will support you, they will encourage you, they will advise you, they will provide counsel. But at the end of the day, it's a democratic party. It is the will of the people. On the flip side, my opponent that I'm running against didn't win his primaries. I'm not saying anything that's not true.
Yeah.
You can see it's in public.
Yeah.
He didn't win his primaries in 2022. He didn't win his primaries in 2019. He's imposed. He's imposed on the people. So it doesn't matter what the people decide. They still say, "Oh, Baba Sokwe." It's Baba Sokwe politics. You know, Oga said you should have the ticket. You get the ticket. And that's, for me, that's not a democracy. You know, we say we're protecting.
So those things that's why you went to the PDP.
Yes, because the PDP gives me an opportunity to stand for what I believe in. The PDP gives me an opportunity to earn the right to serve, and the right to be a servant leader. It gives me an opportunity to engage with my people at this level, at the bottom level, at the grassroots level, in the community level, in the constituency level, and say, "Hey, if you guys give us this chance, then this is what we can accomplish together," as opposed to imposing me on them and saying, "You must work with this guy." The only success I know is the success that you earn. I don't win the lottery. I don't gamble, and just, it's just,
you like to work for what you
work.
All right,
you try, you earn, and God blesses you.
So with that, now moving from the MDP, where you rightly said doesn't have or didn't have the kind of structure, how has it been like joining a full-fledged party with what's it called, interest all over, and having to negotiate your way through? How has that been? And I mean, we'll get to your primaries later on, but how has that been? It's been interesting. We were talking about this before we started. It was a baptism of fire. If I'm not jumping the gun and going to the primaries level, like we said before, every system is about the people that are in it. And I said something when I declared to run for office. I said we have to engage with Nigeria where it is, not where we want it to be. I'll say it again for people that are listening. We must engage with Nigeria where it is, not where we want it to be. What does that mean? It means in the system, in every political party, I don't care if you're talking about PDP or any other party that exists, you have a complete mix of people. And that's Nigeria, right? There's no church or mosque or school or company or organization where you will find every single person, doing the will of God and the will of the people. It's not real. We're human beings. Human beings are inherently imperfect and biased and flawed. So anywhere you go, you will find that mix of people. Now, your job is to say, "Oh, I'm just going to sit it out, accept it for what it is," or "I'm going to get in there and I'm going to fight and I'm going to do what I need to do to succeed even in this difficult terrain." So joining the PDP, it was definitely fantastic in terms of the people that encouraged me, but I had to fight for it. We won our primaries in a landslide, only to find out that they were trying to write the results, for another an opponent, and we had to go to an appeals committee process and a petition. But this is where it is. This is where the system is. And what we are trying to do is lead by example, to say this thing is possible. It can be done. That's not to say that it will be easy. But difficult does not mean impossible. It means that if you have the heart, if you have the skill set, if you have the vision, if you have the tenacity, if you have the determination, if you have the people, then you can get it done. All right. So getting into politics, what was the most shocking experience or eye-opener that you had joining the PDP? And has there ever been a moment where you felt, wow, so this is really what Nigeria is? The most shocking experience, man, that is an interesting question. I think probably the primaries. What happened to us at the primaries?
But I'll answer the question a different way. I'll give you an answer that you're not expecting. You know, and let me set the context. I watched the presidential primaries in our party and, you know, in other parties. I kind of followed the news. And it was interesting to me that people were surprised and disappointed to say, how can we end up with so and all of this? And people started saying things. I heard this a lot. Oh, the delegates are corrupt. The delegates is just about money. It's money. If you don't have money, forget it's the highest bidder and all of that. Now, let me bring this home to my own primaries. And this is what shocked us. We knew going into it that, and anybody that's going to politics knows you need money to do politics. It's the truth. It's the reality. And listen, let's call a spade a spade. There is so much need and lack and difficulty in the nation that if somebody becomes a delegate, there are part of the reason why some people try to become delegates is to be able to say, man, I need to make some money to be able to take care of my family and to be able to sort my responsibilities. It's the reality. But what we found that, and this is what shocked us, is that it's not just about the reward in terms of the money that people can make. It's about respect. It's about relationships. It's about relevance. It's not just about money. It can be if that is the game that you go in there to play. So some people go into the primaries thinking, oh, I'm just going to wait and I'm going to blind everybody with money at the last minute or in the last week or whatever, and I'll just be throwing money left, right, and center. We went in there and said, we want to meet with every ward. We want to meet with every chairman, every woman leader, every vice chairman, every youth leader. We had meetings with the chairman as a group, the vice, the women leaders, youth leaders. We now met with the excos of every ward. We now went to every single ward meeting. We now met with different interest groups, the indigenous.
And all this happened over how long?
Over a period of 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
We were literally, I spent the majority of my year, I spent with the people. Because, and that was shocking, was it didn't need to be a purely money game. Because if it was a purely money game, I would have lost. And I would have lost, and that would have been it.
Everybody knows you're Forbes is just failing to rank you. You're supposed to be amongst
I'm okay. God has blessed me. But again, you know, when God blesses you, you know, the way that your money is kind of tied to the work that you do. So Suya Bistro is doing well, EME is doing well, but it's also tied is I don't have, you know, 500 million sitting somewhere that I can just blind people with money. So we spent our time engaging with people in the wards, with the leadership, with the members. And that was what was shocking, was that to find that people, it didn't need to be. And because we were going in with the reality that, listen, we might lose these primaries. And a lot of people that I know, friends of mine, whether in entertainment or in other parts of business, also went to the primaries, and a lot of them lost at the primaries.
All right. So now,
the point that I want to make is that it was shocking to see that it wasn't for delegates and people in the party. It wasn't just a money game. It wasn't just a reward game. It was a respect game. It was a relationship. Of course.
Okay, great.
But it was everything else that helped us.
So let's look at this. Now, I haven't met with your constituents. If you're going to the House of Rep.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you see to be the number one need of your constituents? What are you going there? What would be the priority?
Yeah. So one of the things that we made one of the mistakes we made in 2019 was we kind of sat on our educated soapbox and said, you know, we understand the issues, so this is our legislative agenda. This time, we've taken our time to intentionally not put out a legislative agenda just yet, because we are sourcing the need. We're meeting with people, we're surveying, we're discussing, we're having engagements where we're interacting and trying to drill down. And we've been shaping something that I like to call the 7 E's for Eti Osa, and we'll release it in due time because we're putting finishing touches on
28.
Sorry?
Campaign starts.
Yes. So we'll release it when the campaign starts. Excuse me. But on that legislative agenda, some of the things that we've drilled into to say this is what Eti Osa needs and this is what Nigeria needs as a whole, because you have a double responsibility, right? So under healthcare, for instance, in Eti Osa, it might interest you to know, and people probably have not paid attention to realize this. We don't have a general hospital
in Eti Osa.
And this is where we generate so much internal revenue for the country. We said this before, where every business and sector is represented, but there's no general hospital. So if somebody needs a hospital urgently and they're in Shango Tedo, they have to make it all the way down the Lekki Expressway through all the traffic to go to Lagos Island to get general hospital services if you need a general hospital, unless you have the money to go to a private institution. And the people in Eti Osa deserve and desperately need a general hospital. The people in Eti Osa need improvements in their primary healthcare centers. If you go to some of these primary healthcare centers, my brother, you might feel like you might catch a disease just walking into the establishment. So there are things that we want.
Glamorous Eti Osa.
In Eti Osa. Okay, this is where our Manhattan is. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So there are things under healthcare. There are things under education.
Okay.
We have a teeming youth population in Eti Osa.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, we have to start looking for things that I like to call equalizers. Technology is an equalizer. I run a business called Suya Bistro. The tech for the back end of Suya Bistro is provided by a resident here. He has a small firm of IT guys. And I got to talking with this guy. I said, how did you get to this place? Because he does it for me. He does it for a few other big businesses that I won't mention, because I know I make mistakes. You guys are very, very funny about what you can say on air.
Yeah.
But a few other very nationally and internationally recognized businesses he provides the tech for. So I'm like, how did you get to this place? Oh, and by the way, he provides it for companies out. He's earning dollars from out of Nigeria, providing remote tech services outside. He says to me, "Oh, I was graduating school. I knew that I didn't have prospects. I just went and stood in Computer Village every day, begging shop owners to take me on as an apprentice. And I started learning how to fix phones and computers. And then I saved up some money from that, and I learned basic computer programming. I learned desktop publishing. I learned web app development. I learned website development. I learned cyber security." And he's just upskilled himself over a period of a few years to the point where now this young man, David, is an entrepreneur, and he's providing services for me, and he's providing services for multiple businesses. So for me, that means, what if we can turn Eti Osa into a tech hub? What if we put a tech hub in every school, in every ward in Eti Osa, at least for starters? It'd be nice if it was in every school, but at least let's put it where we feel like we can achieve it. What if we get a public-private partnership to put a tech hub that gives a free technology education to all of our young people?
So that's part of what you'll be driving when you get to power.
Absolutely.
Now, at the end of the day, when we talk of elections right now, a lot of youth are obedient.
Right.
And those who are not obedient are like Obiomas. But, you're either one of the two.
Right.
Now, you are gunning. Your major constituency right now might be the youth. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Of course.
Yeah. Now, what are your chances of winning, considering that a lot of the youth are saying they're obedient? Okay,
so first of all, I think that hats off to Peter Obi. When we were coming into the PDP, he was one of the people that we were looking to say, okay, these are the people that we can work with in the party at the national level. Peter Obi, Governor Obaseki, Governor Sheyi Makinde. There were a few people that we considered lights in the party that we were very excited about. Now, politics being as dynamic as it is, it's unfortunate, and I think I was probably the most heartbroken when he left the party, because he felt like he wasn't going to win at the primaries and he wanted to be on the ballot. So everybody has to make those decisions. I think that for the people of Eti Osa, when it comes to their representative seat, I'm counting on them making the decision that they want somebody who they know, they know, they trust, they know his character, they know his credibility, they know his heart and what he wants to do. And I think that we've done the work at this level, in this constituency. Whether you're talking community service, whether you're talking impact, whether you're talking empowerment, whether you're talking engaging with young people, we've done that work. Like, they know me. I'm not a new face. I'm not somebody who they haven't interfaced with at multiple levels. So I think that we're counting on them to say, we're still with you. So that means. And then the other thing is, from the party conversation, I think when people see me pulling for PDP candidates, for my governor, Jandor, and for our presidential candidates and everything else we're doing, at the end of the day, politics is still politics. and it helps to have a majority. So it helps to have somebody sitting in the governor house that if I'm the rep, I know I can walk in there and say, Mr. Governor, please, these roads in Eti Osa, you must fix in this first year. Mr. Governor, or Mr. President, these are the schools. So when people see us campaigning, they understand that we're pushing to have that majority in government because it's easier to get things done. Look at America. Barack Obama was a fantastic president, but Congress prevented him from doing certain things. Even the healthcare thing that was like his crowning achievement, it took everything to get it over the line. Okay, and so when that's why parties are important, and that's why it's important for a party to have a majority, and that's part of what we are saying
counting
to our young
on
people to say, listen, we've got to do this, and I'll end on this point. Sorry, I talk a lot. You're laughing at me. Sorry, I'll end here. If you look at those results in 2019, if you look at what the PDP got in Eti Osa and what I got independently, if you put those numbers together, we would have won that election in a landslide in 2019. Okay. So in 2023, we're going to win this election by God's grace and with the support of the people. We're going to win it in a landslide.
All right. So what you're saying is that you're counting on the obedience to be disobedience, so they come your way.
Well, I think everybody's going to have to make their own decisions on who they want to support and why. All right. All we can do is just put our ideas forward and hope for the best.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. As a face of the youth, I mean, that's what we could say, considering that young person is going into election. How would you rate? This might be a funny question for you because the youth will always put together the APC and the PDP for being the problem of the nation.
Right.
Now you've gone to bed with one of them.
Right.
And you want to change the narrative.
Right.
How would you rate our democracy since 1999?
Okay.
Our highs and lows.
Okay.
Do that in 2 minutes. I need to put a time to it
now. I'll say this: a democracy is only as good as the people that are involved in it. A democracy is built, right? We look at the US or the UK as democracy and all of that, but they've existed for hundreds of years. The US legalized, in fact, they were the champions of slavery. It took so long for them to finally get a black president and for them to now have a woman that is a black woman and a woman vice president. So I think we have to remember that a democracy is built and it's built intentionally, and it's only as good as the people that are involved in it. The truth is, I'm not in the PDP to defend everything that anybody in the PDP at any level has ever done. Absolutely not. We are there to play our part in reforming and improving the system from within. So if we can influence things from within with other like minds in the PDP party, that's what we're going to do. And there are people that are bright lights in the PDP. There's Governor Makinde. We were just in Ibadan the other day. He's doing an amazing job there. I don't care who you are, what party you are from. If you look at the work that they've done in Oyo State, if you look at what Governor Obaseki has done in Edo State, there are bright lights. Peter Obi was a PDP person. So let's not make it seem like, everybody in one place is the devil and everybody who's not. Even in the small parties, I guarantee you people will find that it's the same mix of people.
Okay, so they're
just platforms. We're just going to try our best to improve this platform at the local.
So that means that even though the APC seems to be failing now, they could still be given an opportunity if there are some lights that are shining within the APC in some states and national level.
So I think it's on people to make those decisions, but I think that it is clear from having been under an APC administration for the last 8 years, we have averaged a recession. Even in the PDP's worst year in the presidency, we were never in a recession. In terms of our GDP, we've averaged a recession for every year of the last 8 years. Yeah. I think it's time for the people to understand that we have to do things differently.
All right.
It's on people to make that decision, but I think that the wise decision would be to say, let's do these things differently.
But some experts will tell you that the dynamics under both leadership were different. But that's not what we're going into today.
Yes, dynamics are different.
We will get into that maybe for another stuff. Now, we want things to appear differently. We want a more transparent leadership. We want more transparent government. We want more transparent public officials. And when the youth get in, it's normal for an average youth to support another youth because we expect to have a change. So, going by that, what is your budget that you're working with?
My budget for what I'm in the house?
No, I mean right now, for this race and everything, how much would you say you've spent? Because money is something that you never hear of in Nigerian politics. Even though INEC expects you to declare, we never hear that from these politicians we all want to kick out.
Right.
So what are you?
So I'll tell you, this is the challenge with the budget. By law, a House of Reps person is supposed to spend 70 million naira. Now, the challenge is that it costs considerably more than that. Maybe, depending on your constituency, 5 to 10 times more than that in terms of just running the race. So what you then have to do, and this is where the community comes in, the community gets behind you. Supporters of your campaign get behind you. They then spend, God knows how much on trying to help you achieve that impact. But you as a candidate, if you spend more than what the INEC declaration is, then you fall afoul of the rules. So in terms of what my supporters have spent, but what the interest groups that are, the people who are in business, in the sectors who are coming together, they're entertainers for us, they're fintech people for us, they're tech people for us, they're investors who feel like, man, this is my area, this is where my house is, this is where my business is. They spend considerably more than that. And they can, if you had any one of these captains of industry who are backing us here, then they could give you more highlights on that. We personally have not spent as much because we have all of these people who are taking that burden for us, and that then is why we need more people. We're actually just about to start our fundraising now. We'll announce that as the campaign starts. But we need as much help as we can get to get over the line, because politics is insanely expensive, and that's why we need private sectors to come into the fray and be a part of one of these groups that are saying, listen, Banky W needs 50,000 t-shirts. We're going to pay for it for him.
Okay, so I said now you can't give us any figure on how much you've spent. I can't give you a figure
because it's not my figure to give at the moment.
Okay. Now, what do you think we're doing wrong that is in our politics that is not allowing us grow? Because there is this Dr. Omano Edigeji. He's consulted for the AAC in South Africa. He's consulted with a lot of people. Now he's an SSA to Kaduna State Governor, where Kaduna is being transformed magnificently.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm even looking for a way to go do a report on Kaduna. We really want to see what is happening without the ports. So all this talk without the ports, Kaduna is changing. The economy summit and all that. Now, he wrote a book called Nigeria: Democracy Without Development. Now, why do you think in Nigeria we have a democratic system running for the past how many years now? 23 years, thereabout. Yet development is not as rapid.
I think that it kind of goes back to what we've been saying about the people that are involved in it. I think that unfortunately for us, many people in the private sector have had this mindset that politics is dirty and it's dangerous. In fact, when I was running for office in 2019, I had this conversation with my wife, and she said, babe, I love you, I know your heart, I know you want to do a good job, and if you're given the opportunity, you will. But politics is dirty and it's dangerous, and I don't want anything that will harm you or anything that will soil your reputation. And I said, the truth is, politics is dirty and it is dangerous because all the good people avoid it. All the people with character sit it out. All the people, they say, I'll focus on. Nigeria does that, right? It forces everybody to
non-participation.
Non-participation
is a problem.
I had a conversation with a very successful businessman, and I won't say his name. And he's told me that in 1999, when they had been fighting for democracy for years and all of that, and it came to it and we were going to a democracy, all of them who had been influencing, lobbying, fighting, behind the scenes, working, sat in various rooms and said, okay, now it's time. Who's going to go into
And they
politics?
all backed out.
He said every single one of us backed out. The only person that stayed? Donald Duke. He said Donald Duke was the only person in our group.
And what you're saying, somebody
politics.
said it to me that, listen, and this person is an APC person, and he said, some of the things he said, I agree with it. It was like, after the fight for democracy, when the Afenifere said, okay, let's reward these people, let the older ones step back, and let's so people like Ashiwaju came in. He said, if people like Agbakogwa had agreed to go in, and they had done the little Ashaju did in Lagos, in each state, Nigeria will have been better. But
so it's a participation thing. For me, that's the answer.
All right, we wrap up here. But someone has a question which I think will be unfair if I don't. He said, "Hi, Banky."
Hey.
His name is not Banky. His name is Bankole Wellington. Olubankole Wellington. Yeah. So anyway, what will you do about the exorbitant salaries our lawmakers take home? In 30 seconds.
In 30 seconds, I think that for me, I've actually been talking about this for years, that lawmakers' salaries are too high, and not just lawmakers' salaries. The pension that we pay to past presidents and governors and people who've served before, it's insane. We spend more than the United Kingdom, and you know the difference in the revenue that we generate as a nation. We spend so much more on pensions to people who have clearly not done the best job, or we wouldn't be in the position that we're in. So I will be one of those that are fighting for reductions, but at the same time, I am one representative out of 360. So it will take. I don't want to make promises that I may not be able to fulfill. So yes, I will fight for it and I'll argue for it, but what I can guarantee you is that the money that does come will be used to improve this constituency. And people will see that clearly by the work that we do here.
All right, great. And I think on that note, it's safe to end the conversation. There's still so much to talk about, but hey, elections are just getting started. We'll bring him here for a heated debate.
Sounds
good.
You know,
really drill him on what's happening within the Eti Osa local government, and let's see if we can get some feedback. Can he alone change Nigeria when it gets to the National Assembly? That is a question we need to keep asking. But one thing is certain, like I see on this program, irrespective of who wins the election, you need to support the person, whether it's your candidate or not. If you don't, you're only running your nation down. It's time for us to end the conversation, because if I don't, I can see Adewumi Oshodi staring at me that, don't you know, it's almost 10 o'clock. I need to get on air, and but we will come back to her right now. My name is Oluwakyode. Follow me on all major social media handles at IPOSU. Banky W.
Thank you very much, sir. It has been a pleasure. I'm glad we got to do this. I look forward to speaking again, and thank you to everybody that tuned in. Please give us your support. By God's grace, we're going to win this election. And we're going to do things differently. Social media?
Yes, social media handles.
My social media is at Banky Wellington. The campaign's social media is at THEBW, or the Banky Wellington Organization.
All right.
And on Twitter, I'm Banky W.
All right, great.
We move.
That's it, we move. So we end the show here. Keep talking and keep listening to Lagos Talk. By the way, a lady, when we did the post, said, "Oh, I'm waiting at home for Banky W. I'm not going out because
shout out to her.
So Catherine, here's Banky W saying hi. Catherine,
how you doing? Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show.
All right then. So
and please vote for us. God bless you. Support us.
Come back on the 28th and do your campaign. All right. But in all that we say, one person has the final say, and that is Jehovah. Signing out.